Nothing here.
Where's Shane?
I think they're carrying it for a few minutes while Shane sorts out the camera.
There he is.
Howdy, folks.
The topic is let's chat about what makes Allspace great. Just playing. Hey Ben, what's up, man?
Hey, hello. It's my first visit to these sessions.
Welcome to the quiet time. I'm gonna
Nope, we can't hear you, Shane.
at least put on the stream so I can see.
How do I get demoted off the stage? I'm here to learn.
I don't know. Once you get up, you can't leave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Shane's gone. It's just you and I now.
What has happened? What's up,
It's the two of
everybody?
us. We can make it if we try.
We're all here.
I'm playing with fun, insane skybox stuff.
Hello, Ben, Austin.
I like that new Halo effect.
Yeah, I'm liking that. Well, it's
That's
I still can't.
crazy. I had to ask to be
Oh,
brought
hi.
up onto my own stage there.
Denied.
Yeah, no, that'd be hilarious.
All right.
You guys run the show for a week.
Aren't you supposed to be at the airport or something?
No, not yet. Got my
Ah,
times wrong, but I am leaving in the next couple of hours. So at some point, depending on how long this goes on, I will swap over.
I hope you don't expect us to put our cameras on.
I'll do it. Oh
'Cause
man.
I
You don't have to. I
cannot.
don't mind.
My hairline cannot compete.
Oh boy.
Okay. Sorry,
Nice.
look, there's nothing there.
See, that's efficient.
Yeah.
That's really efficient. You know the money you save in grooming.
I do,
product.
yeah.
You don't
I
have to
literally
worry
fresh
about.
shaved today, yeah. People look at me
There
going,
you
"Oh,
go.
your avatar makes a lot more sense now." I used to have hair like you. No, it was always thin, so that's fine. Yeah.
I have a buddy who's I met him when his dreads were just a little shorter than yours, Shane, and they are now literally dragging on the floor. They're amazing.
Nice. They're also a lot of work, and also in the temperature that it is over here, they can be tricky sometimes. Let's say, but
Oh, I bet.
yeah, I don't know. I've committed. I'm the sort of person that once I commit, that's it. I commit to everything except for Git.
Don't forget to commit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The topic for today.
Topic for today is events.
Events.
Yeah, I saw something quite cool today. Somebody went and plastered over a bunch of subreddits that they're bringing an event to Altspace on launch, which I thought was really cool. Let me just check. It's called the Nightlight Talk Show, and that is from what's his name? Mon Hammer. Is that his
Hammermon?
name? Hammermon? Yeah, I think so. I think that's who it is. NC Hammer.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Honestly, I saw somebody announcing they were going to have an event around launch. Just to your point, calls about running the launch in your space. We should probably have a launch week, really,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
2 launch weeks, right? Because we're only
There's
going to
gonna
have
be so much.
yeah. I have to keep it low key as well a little bit because Hammermon.
Impossible.
That's right. Barry got it.
Impossible.
Well, you see, we have to do a second launch, right? This is a soft launch. We have to have a bigger party next time, so we have to make sure we don't use up all the party juice in this first run.
Fair. Okay. Store the party juice in the jars. Put it in the pantry. Save it for later.
Exactly. I'll tell you what I'll do before we start to chat about events. I'm just going to show you guys some of the updated and finalized designs from Christian.
Ooh,
He's going to be in the chat here at some point. He promised,
nice.
showing us his final stages of kind of coloring.
Gonna grab a beverage.
Yeah, I'm still here. I just just very self-conscious of the fact that there's 45 people in here.
Don't be self-conscious, Shoseki. You often get up on stage in front of tons of people.
I know. My avatar takes the brunt of it, though.
Oh, I've been a stage kid all my life. I don't mind it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a little side view
Cool.
of the robots. Hang on, I'm just trying to coordinate a few messages at the same time. Here's a colored version of the wings. Yeah, Carlos, thanks for that. Anybody's interested, the live stream is in the chat. Share it with your friends. If they can't make it in here, they're dead to us. No, I'm joking. They can join on YouTube and get a look.
One chance. That's all you get.
Yeah, right. Nice. That was one thing about Altspace was that, the drama, I guess, is part of it, right? So
You actually just reminded me of the
Definitely
glow-ups.
part of it.
The glow-ups that people used to do in Altspace with that secondary color, and
the
they were
glarps.
able, they were able to really like overload the
Oh,
colors. Do you remember
the
that?
glow jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't use that term, but yes.
Glarps.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Like it gotta. That's what they called it. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm just dumping some. I'm just dumping some pictures in the chat here. These are all. You guys are the first to see a lot of these finalized versions. And I think Christian is going to be coming in to maybe color some more variations on the pets, maybe some more on some other outfits. I'm trying to show you the ones that we might definitely try to implement for launch.
Imagine that.
We are
Imagine that tail being prehensile and using it in VR
Whoa.
to be able to click on things or.
I am just seeing these.
Throwaway ideas.
Discord would load. I'm trying to preview some of the rest. Oh, here we go. So some hats.
Wow, these are nice.
Let's see. Some more hats and horns and ears.
If I could match that ceremonial hood with a robe over my whole little avatar, it'd be like a little shadow robot. Yes, great. Let's do it.
Little wizard.
Yeah.
Some shoes.
That top hat's
Some
a strong contender.
sneakers. And
whoa, Balenciaga over here.
oh yeah. Of course, classic. Some hoodies, some more polished iterations of the hoodies. Yeah, lots of cool stuff. I'm sure you saw the mascots that I posted in the general or in the announcements channel a few days ago. Those are
to have
probably
real feet like that. I really want that
for the mascots.
For the robot avatar, you see, he's the middle one. I know it was just drawn with no feet, but I kind of like that, just floating a little bit, little rockets.
Yeah, no, that's actually that's very likely that's going to be the default. Is that you'll have no feet, or you'll have some sort of weird stubs at the end of your feet, or maybe like the picture depicts, you'll have like some kind of Iron Man style hover effect.
That's fun.
Oh, these.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things, maybe a subselection of these will be available. Some of them would be along the yeah, they'd be part of the progression, let's say, right? Of the we've got 52 people in here now. I can properly commit. Nice. They'd be part of the progression, right? So maybe some of these you could earn along the way. We can add to these and do more. There's a switch in there for some reason. If anybody notices that from Harry Potter, don't know if we're going to add one of those. Warner might get upset with us if we do, but uh,
What?
yeah,
The
a
little
lot of
puzzle?
these kind of represent the kind of cosmetics that you can kind of expect for us to start out with, and then be able to add more into later. So yeah, maybe you start out with a base robot and a handful of options and the ability to change like 2 dimensions of color, and then yeah, maybe then later you can upgrade, get hoodies, get sneakers, get loads more hats and ears and wings, right? I think maybe we'll have at least a base level of everything, and
What's this little thing?
there'll be enough ways to customize them, uh, just through color, right? Because you'll be able to pick 2 tones of color, much like you could back in the original days, and for that to be able to give everybody their own unique look. I think it's very important to be able to be unique from day one. Guests is something that we've talked about a little bit, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe guests can customize. Maybe they'll have a limited amount before they sign up. Maybe that's a nice motivation to actually create an account. Um, as you saw, the mascots. So these ones are very much inspired by the original robots, outside of the guest bot, right? The base robot that we're going with right now is inspired by the original guest bot. Um, those ones are based on the other range. So the first one's the guest bot, but the other 3 are based on the other range of robots. And the idea will be that, you know, however those mascots work, once we figure that part out, maybe those aren't available right at launch, but they will correlate, or they will reflect your customization on your own avatar. Like they will use the same color tones so that they match you, uh, and there'll be cosmetics for them as well, right? So there'll be extras that you can kind of get for the pets or for the mascots too, which I think is going to be fun, right? It's going to be a little thing to experiment with, let's say. Um, but yeah, that's all I'll say about avatars. I've kind of waffled on about it for a bit too long. We've talked about it a lot. I'm pretty excited about what we're going to do. We are aiming to try to have humanoids at launch as well, and yeah, aiming is the key word there, because yeah, we're crunching quite a lot to get this done, and we want to give everybody that um, that whatever it is that means AltSpace for you in terms of the memory, that unique self, that digital version of you that you've created in the past. And humanoids was a big thing that kind of came out of the woodwork for everybody. The robots really only represented the former generations of AltSpace. The later ones, there were no robots. It was all humanoids, and quite a lot of variation within those. So, with any luck, we're going to have humanoids available at launch as well. I have. We're working on it internally, but in order to hedge our bets, I've also engaged with 2 different external 3D artists to get them to try to create the humanoids, and they're both working with a different spec in terms of which outfits they're going to be working on. So hopefully we'll be able to pull a lot out of that, and pull that together, and give you guys quite a bit. We're working on each of them has 10 outfits and 10 hairstyles slash hats for each gender. So that should with probably a little bit of overlap, that's probably going to result in about 30 to 35 of each. So that should be quite a lot. when you combine that with a lot of color customization, facial expression customization, there's going to be a range of, eyes, noses, mouths, that kind of thing that you can choose from as well. And yeah, we want to have the same expressive faces with the eyes that follow people and look at who you're talking to, as well as the visemes, right? So your mouth moving a little bit better even than what Altspace had on their human avatars. But yeah, that's it. Now, events. Events. I think events are a really important part of the platform. I think they've always been a really important part of the platform, and I think it's definitely a space that is underserved across the industry right now. Right? It's always been. I think Altspace was really the only platform that ever took it seriously, and it was a primary use case for Altspace. And whilst there's events now on other platforms, there's events in VR chat. It's still not served in the way that it should be. It's not given the priority that it should be. There's no easy way to search through global events, filter events, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, we've been working pretty hard. We've actually already had an event system built out for quite a while, so we're going to be building upon that to integrate that into Altspace and be able to let people set up their own events. If anybody's unfamiliar with how the structure of everything is going to work, there's basically going to be, I guess, two primary types of things. There's going to be groups and there's going to be worlds. And then underneath groups, you can create events and you can attach worlds to those groups to be able to run those events in those worlds. That's how it's going to work in general. So yeah, if anybody has any thoughts or any questions, I'll just say it now. That just put your hand up. I'll keep an eye on the chat. I'd love for anybody to come up and give us your thoughts. This is an open house here in terms of us chatting about this. But
I have a
Good
question.
codes.
yes, go ahead for a second.
So I'm curious. So Altspace had featured spaces, featured events. You think that's something going forward? Obviously, you'd have to
Yeah,
vet
absolutely.
them and make sure that they perform and suitable, etc. But
Yeah, absolutely. I think, so we've tried this a number of ways in Banter, where we basically approve spaces, right, and approve worlds, and because events run in those worlds, and that's how they've been intrinsically linked in the past, we kind of just inherit that approval. Events inherit the approval of the worlds that they're running in, basically. And what we've done in recent months is somewhat relaxed our criteria for what allows you to get a world approved, right? That's always been a bit of a point of contention. Different platforms have different approaches to this sort of thing. VR chat, for instance, when you join the platform, you have to achieve a certain reputation, at which point you can upload worlds. Those go into the what's the name of their early access thing? Is it community spotlight? I can't remember.
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's been a while since I've been on VR chat, but there's some early layer that people go into, and then they effectively graduate from there and become part of the featured list. But there's no necessarily approval by VR chat in order to create those and get those out there. There's a chance we might take a similar approach. In the past, our only criteria for a world to be featured is that it runs well on the lowest common denominator. Yes, community labs. I think what we're going to do in future is probably start to surface stats on worlds, right? So if you're entering a world, either you'll be able to see what the average frame rate of that world is, maybe separated by device, right? So PC versus Quest, or Quest 3 versus Quest 2, for instance. That will be something that you'll have, information you'll have at hand before you even join the world. So you can decide. You know, what we kind of realized is that different people have different levels of sensitivity to this kind of stuff. And whilst frame rate is definitely something that correlates with motion sickness quite a lot, some people are actually okay with it, and others aren't. So I think if we put the necessary warnings in place that, there may be some problems with this world, you might experience problems, then people can kind of make their own choice. They're adults. We don't need to gatekeep in that regard. So I think possibly what we'll adopt here is more of a reactive moderation process rather than a proactive approval process. In that, if something gets posted that's, that doesn't necessarily align, is pornographic or something like that, then we'll act to remove that. People can do what they want in private, but we need to be able to protect, new users coming onto the platform. And yeah, we've taken a more lax approach to things in the past with banter, but this is AltSpace. This is different. We wanted to be as close to what AltSpace was, and for that reason, I think, I think we'll probably take a leaf out of their book in terms of how things generally worked, right? But maybe be a little bit more open to featuring worlds, especially worlds that users create, right? I know that was a bit of an issue, in in the last few years that AltSpace was active. There was internal, uh, policy and procedure around what would happen, what worlds would be featured, what would be hidden behind beta flags or special
The
options in
whole
the
app was
menu
hidden
that
behind a
users.
beta flag.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think we'll try to be a bit more open than that, and try to enable creators to get their content out there, make it easy for people to find that, and eventually, we'll go a lot further than, AltSpace did in the past, right? And um, try to lean on user curation as much as we can. Try to use things like the amount of times people visit worlds and visit events to drive those, up through the rankings, let's say, and give users, tools like filtering, search, categories, stuff like that, that makes it easier to find stuff that you're interested in, right? Rather than a single closed list of here's what's featured, and that's it. Because the thing is, with this sort of stuff, it does tend to explode. It will grow exponentially. Before long, we'll have thousands and tens of thousands of worlds. There's enough people motivated, enough creators already creating and porting stuff in. There's enough people who are kind of, waiting in the wings until everything is ready to dive into this. So, um, I think we can be very upfront about that as well, right? To your point, ambitious. Like we can implement a likes system onto worlds and events. We can use metrics like how many people join, on groups, how many people attend events, time spent in events. All of that sort of stuff can help us to decide what shouldn't be featured. I think all of that makes sense.
A clear up too, when
Um,
I did say because it was my comment she was spawning off of. When I said reputation, I was referring to the whole reputation points idea. It was like somebody would need to have been on the platform for a little while before their events get featured. I mean, that's just sort of a common community courtesy thing.
yeah,
Not
for
like
sure.
but like not necessarily likes, but and popularity meaning like if you're throwing events and no one's ever showing up. I mean, what's it going to get like? There's got to be some kind of
Yes.
interest in it for it to become a featured event. But yeah, absolutely for
Yeah.
new creators and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, discovery is a difficult thing, but it's thankfully something that we have quite a lot of experience at, over at SideQuest. When it comes to trying to surface content, that's kind of been our primary function for the last good chunk of a decade. So there's different ways to look at it. you can you can basically just have some powerful sorting options, right? You can sort stuff by overall popularity all time. You can shorten that to recent windows to have like hot lists and stuff that's been recently popular. We can do a new list, right? What's the newest stuff? That's a great way to help stuff get up onto those rankings and be able to to move up. So, and users want that, I think, right? They want to see what's fresh, what's new.
Yeah,
They want to
absolutely.
experiment, and I think that's a great way to kind of give people a leg up, and an organic way as well. And yeah, I mean, also on top of that, I'll be honest, curation is also useful as long as it's not completely dominating and controlling. I think curation can definitely help, but these can all just be layers, right? Categories or ways that we can kind of present it, right? We can have a staff picks collection of worlds and events, which are things that we think are amazing. But aside from that, we can just have, hot, top, new, uh, maybe allow you to sort by other things like most visited or most time spent. All of these things are just generic, powerful ways to put the tools into the hands of the users to make it so that they can find new stuff and keep things fresh, right? It's things do tend to get stale whenever you're working off of a flat curated list of things that always it's the top 20 that stick at the top of the list. So there's definitely ways that we can try and introduce that. And yeah, I mean, I think yeah, there's
Anybody
always
remembers
ways
the featured list, the featured worlds never changed for years, like never.
yes,
I
yes,
don't know.
exactly. And that's not good. That's not good for
No.
discovery. That doesn't help anyone, doesn't help the platform or the users, and therefore it doesn't help anyone. Um, so yeah, definitely ways to change it up and for us to be able to inject stuff, and also for you guys to be able to control it, but also to try to make sure that the way that we implement this and the way that we monitor things in terms of how that discovery is working, that it's a nice varied spread of content as well, right? And I guess what I'm referring to there is that towards the end of towards the end of Altspace, maybe in that last year especially, there were certain events of a specific category that somewhat dominated.
Yeah.
And I think in those cases, we'll have to step in, right? I don't think there's really any automated way that we can prevent specific types of events becoming, uh, you know, uh, you know, taking over basically, right? But um,
If we
yeah, I
have a
think user,
category system, like a district system,
yes,
like if you have, let's say, comedy events,
yes,
you want a comedy event, there's a comedy district. You want a role play event, there's a
yes,
role play district, there's a quiz event district, it's something like that that can help people kind of
yes.
like find a lane of similar ideas.
A great way to do it. That's definitely a great way to do it. And I think user curation is also a great way to do it, right? If you end up with a lot of repeated events, if people are trying to get more coverage by creating a large number of events, for instance, which is kind of what happened towards the end, then yeah, if users don't visit those events and they don't get up to the top of the list, creating events isn't just the only bar that you'll have to get over in order to get up onto that list. It will also be creating quality events that people actually attend, and yeah, from time to time we can kind of dip in and do some curation ourselves if it comes to it, or deal with abuse from a moderation standpoint as well if that becomes a case, right? And there is a standard policy we can apply to that too, um that's spamming, right? Like creating a large number of a similar number of events, especially if they're coming from a small group of people, or one person, that would constitute spam, and that would be something that we could act on based on abuse, right? And we'll actively monitor that, but we'll also be sensitive to the community. If people want to raise any issues with us, we can look into it. Um, yeah, uh,
Perhaps
yeah,
some
and
sort of
honestly,
so I don't know at the moment if there's a mechanism for this, or so there are other types of social platform that have mechanisms that sort of serve what I want to say hive mind type of effects. So, for example, up down Reddit voting or
Yes,
favorites or
likes.
retweets or whatever, those sorts
Mhm.
of mechanisms. If we had something like that, obviously likes is for favorites for saving for the future, or what's it called? Sky TV has sort of like subscribed to this, not just this. I want to watch this particular event or program on the Sky platform, but they say subscribe to all upcoming events because I want to not just go to this one. I want to go to the one in the next day, the next or the next week or whatever. Perhaps some of those sorts of tools would just like
Channels.
attach that extra metadata to the events that then triggers certain subsystems.
Yeah, honestly, I think all of that applies, and we can come together as a community and figure out what makes sense. We'll be happy to be transparent about if there is an algorithmic approach to the user curation in general. Um, we can be upfront about what drives that, right? And I think what's good there is to probably take stuff that involves um, actual activity related to it, and then combine that with the more ephemeral metadata. And what I mean by that is we look at attendance numbers and we look at time spent and we combine that together with the number of upvotes and the number of likes and stuff like that, so that we end up with something that's balanced and in the middle. And that can help to prevent what's called a bandwagoning effect, right? Where somebody who's got a Discord server, they can be like, hey, everybody jump in and do this. I do that from time to time, so I know others do. uh, so yeah, I mean, we can try to combat that and try and make sure that what's there is represented as you know a good variety of what people want to be able to see, and we can tweak that as we go, right? And if anybody has any thoughts on it along the way, then yeah, my door is pretty much always open. So feel free to share them with me, and we'll see if we can incorporate that. Honestly, some of the best ideas come out of random people sliding into my DMs. So and I'll be happy to attribute those if they do. Sometimes they don't, and sometimes it's things we've already thought of and possibly ruled out for some reason, and I'll be upfront about that if that's the case too. But yeah, I definitely think that that's the right approach. Um,
It's interesting how different a lot of the currently existing social platforms would be if they weren't using those mechanisms. So, for example, the difference between Facebook, say in, I don't know, 2010 versus Facebook in 2020, when they're using their algorithm to try, you used to see exactly what your friends posted, but now you see whatever Facebook wants you to post. Um,
yes,
yeah.
and that's the thing, right? It's a lot of people, yeah, a lot of people don't trust that now because everything is temporary, transient, and algorithmically driven rather than like chronological or just from your friends. And yeah, a lot of people kind of are nostalgic or mourn the times when it was a lot simpler. And it looks like, based on what I've seen recently, there's a chance that that might be changing because it looks like California at least is mulling over some laws that might require the social media platforms to change all of that. And
Or at least be
MySpace is
more
coming
transparent,
back.
right? To be more transparent.
Well, no,
In those,
actually,
oh, go on,
actually
sorry.
they're looking to enforce that they remove the algorithmic approach in a lot of cases and remove the temporary element to certain content, right? So that things like posts on Instagram or things that only last a certain period of time, that's something they get rid of, so that it's there. Everything is there. You can find it. It's not an ocean of content that's only
I
surfaced to
don't
you when
I
they
don't
want
really
it to
hate
be.
that. I get notices of people's reels. I go and look 2 days later, they're gone. I don't know what I'm even getting
What it
notified
was.
about. Yeah.
Yes. Um,
I I wonder if like so certainly back in the day for in AltSpace some of I've obviously run improv night, and sometimes we would have people open up portals, and obviously at the end of an event there might be another event that's just about to start, which might be suitable. Might be so. For example, on Twitch TV they have the concept of raiding. So if you're watching a particular viewer and they decide, oh, here's somebody else that I like their content and I would recommend, and they just bring their audience onto the next. So perhaps something where you could link events between each other. Oh, you're watching this comedy or improv. Here's the next one that's coming up. Have fun, guys, and keep the energy going.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think cross-pollinating, right, is kind of what I would refer to that as, and I think that's a great way to try and keep the party going, so to speak. And honestly, I think that there's ways for us to lean on other technology to help with that as well, right? I think at a certain point, what we're doing right here today is going to turn into an event on AltSpace, and we'll come together in VR, in 2D mode, and do all of these things. But right now, just in the same way as people are watching on YouTube, and I think Carlos has a question that's maybe come from somebody on YouTube, or it's just his own thoughts. Uh, in the same way as we'll have YouTube and Discord in the same breath, in future, maybe we'll have a direct integration with Discord and AltSpace, right? This is something I was just talking to Cause about. We were geeking out in DMs, like I said, where some of the best ideas come from, but we were talking about some prototypes I built in the past where people on a Discord call, on a voice call, were able to effectively connect their voice into the metaverse. Oh, I hate that I use that term. Into alt space and actually attend an event, right? Actually be able to navigate, move around, even potentially log in to their account, right? Which that might be a bit of a crazy concept to some people. Maybe I don't tend to explain these things clearly enough. But much like you've got bots and other apps on Discord, we could effectively make an AltSpace app for Discord that would let you connect to AltSpace through a voice call on Discord. You'd be able to talk to people in there and hear people through the Discord call. This is the prototype that we played with before. But like I said, to your point, Shoseki, this is just another example of cross-pollination and a way to be able to try to link some of the social technologies that we're already using in order to, bolster that effort of people being able to join in easier, right? And then maybe the YouTube people can watch as well. I mean, I don't know how we link that in, but maybe there's a way. But I want to address something that Carlos posted. Carlos, is that from YouTube? Is that somebody on YouTube that's asked that, or is that just yourself that's interested?
No, that's
I'm
me.
wondering.
It's me.
In any case, the question is basically around what happens if there's problems that could threaten the future of the community, and how early should we be informed as a community? That's a tricky one. That's a very tricky one because communities are resilient things. They're very strong things, but at the same time, they can also be quite delicate. And we are really only our own strength as a community. That's all we really are. And I can kind of understand, I guess, why some platforms might want to, hide it when there's problems behind the scenes because they want to keep people invested. They don't want to destroy anybody's dreams or for anybody to lose faith, and that's understandable. It's also sometimes that even the people who are the closest to what's going on, they don't see the serious problems until the last minute, right? And they don't know what's going to happen until everybody's so immersed and so close to the situation that you can't really until everything is happening. You don't really know what's going on. As Barry mentioned, a federated AltspaceVR VR. So what I can tell you is that what we're trying to do behind the scenes is take early steps at this stage in order to ensure the future of the platform. And what I mean by that is that we're building the technology stack in a modular, white labelable way. There's a bunch of words. Basically, it's going to be built so that there's multiple pieces. We can just mix and match together and put a different layer of branding on top of them. In about 3 or 4 months, once we've got AltSpace stable and the early access release has been out there for a couple of months, and we're going for a full release, at that point, we're going to be backporting all of the changes to our existing platform, Banter. So when that happens, both of those platforms are basically going to coexist and coexist in a way that no other platforms in VR do currently. Basically, they will share users, they will share events, they will share worlds, they will
That
share
was one of my
avatars.
questions.
So yeah, that's what's going to happen at that point. That's another cross-pollination, right? Now we're branching out of the scope of using one event to raid another event and try and boost one event by giving it a leg up from the popularity of another. Now we're talking about events that can exist on every platform, and every platform will benefit. And I'll be honest with you, I might not stop there. We might have more platforms than just those two.
There's more.
So, Shane, can I jump in and ask a question on the heels of that?
Dude.
So
Go ahead.
As far as like doing events on multiple platforms, because my question was gonna kind of be like capacity, right? We knew the capacity event capacity issues that we had with Altspace. Like ultimately, how many people can get into a space and experience an event before it completely degrades, right? So that's one question. But now you spark some curiosity. You're saying multiple platforms as an event person. I'm like, okay, tell me more. So are you saying simultaneously, like, let's say we're producing an event in AltSpace, somebody can fully experience that in Banter, or are you saying that we have to duplicate that on both platforms simultaneously and it's just a seamless transition? I just want some more details on how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched on one of the other topics for tonight, which is instances, which is something a lot of people have been talking about. There's been a lot of regular activity in the ideas section here in Discord about instances. So I definitely want to talk about that as well, right? But I'll answer your second question first, just because it's quicker and it's a nice segue into talking about the instances. But yeah, first of all, I remember on AltSpace, when you run an event, you have to set up multiple instances manually. You had to control your own overflow. You had to make sure all the instances had the same pieces of world in them in order to make sure that everything was going to run smoothly. And then you had to actually handhold that as well during the event. You needed to have multiple people be able to help you out to make sure everything was working the way that it was going to work. So once we have this system where both platforms are directly integrated and using the same system, you won't have to do anything. Your event will simply be available on those other platforms as well. People will see them and they'll be able to access them. And what's important here about this is making it accessible and making it discoverable, because it's important because it helps all the platforms, right? We're not sitting here relying on the footfall of one platform. We end up with two completely different shop fronts on a high street, on a digital high street, that can have their own real estate in terms of advertising surface to be able to attract more people and get people into potentially your event, right? And what I found is that whilst different people appreciate the different platforms for different reasons, right? They want to be able to have a place where they can go and they can bring their community and know that community is going to be, let's say, protected in some ways, right? From certain, whatever it is, topics, that kind of thing. That at the end of the day, us individually as humans, we are pretty diverse in the sort of things that we appreciate. And sometimes you want one thing, sometimes you want another. And by giving that choice and that ability for people to put their AltSpace hat on and jump into an AltSpace event, or take that AltSpace hat off and jump into a banter event, that's going to be that's going to help cater to that diverse nature of people. Now, I know that there's going to be some exploration that we have to do on that front, and maybe occasionally we'll have to do some curation, and maybe sometimes certain events will be better served on one platform and not on another. And we'll try to work with the community there. But I want to be upfront. Ultimately, our goal is to try and support and encourage as much discovery as we can where it makes sense. And we will try to, protect, let's say, I guess the brand and the perspective that people have on each individual platform, and we'll try to only do that in extreme circumstances. But I want to get to the other point that you made, which is about capacity, right? And how do we handle capacity? So we've actually already had I think a pretty decent, not perfect by any means, but a pretty decent system that handles this on Banter. And we are going to have that same system available to us on AltSpace as well, right? And it's basically an automatic overflow system that will create instances and fill those instances up, right? It will fill up the largest instance first. And then that way it slowly fills each instance up. So if you have a space where you as the creator of that space or that world, sorry, have decided, okay, 10 people can fit in here. That's how many I want to have. I want to have a closed group or a smaller group, or I want to have the space itself is demanding, so we want to keep the numbers lower so that performance is maintained at a certain bar, right? Having the ability to control that capacity yourself is kind of step number one. But then allowing for it to automatically overflow into new instances as the capacity of that grows has been how we've approached this in the past. Now, I will say that it hasn't always worked. We've got the convenient feature of being able to megaphone and being able to mirror people. It's just one thing you have to do in Banter, and it will be the same on AltSpace, right? So that we can mirror presenters across multiple instances so that everybody can hear them and everybody can talk to them. We've also got the hand raising capability so that people who are either in your instance or in another instance can raise their hand. Then you can megaphone and mirror that person to all the other instances so that you can talk to them, you can ask them questions. Everybody else can hear them and they can hear you, even if they're in a different instance. And that's a great system. Honestly, that works really well. It took us a while to perfect that system on Banter, and for the longest time, people just had to manually jump into other instances, wait for people to have questions, try and move them between instances manually, right? That's actually also something that I think that we'll be able to have, is the ability for event runners to be able to see, like, here's a list of everybody across all instances, and be able to move people between instances, right? Be able to actually shift them around. Maybe even the ability for users themselves to be able to like jump from one instance to another. Certainly to be able
so
to
if
join your
somebody wanted to experience the event with your friends, because I know the frustration of getting in the wrong room. You're like, wait a minute, I'm gonna jump out and jump back in, see if I can get in with you guys. Okay, that's kind of dope. I like that.
Yeah. So I mean, these are all problems that we've faced and we've had to figure out solutions to, and this is how we've approached these. So all of that you can assume is going to be there, right? Whether we have all of those features implemented at launch or not, we will have the majority of them, and we will eventually have them all for full release as well. So those are definitely tools that I think you need. That's kind of what I think of when I think about something called the host panel, right? Which is what people used to refer to as like a God mode view for event runners, moderators, and presenters to be able to see what's going on in the event, who has their hand up, who is in what instance, and be able to administer all of that, right? So I'd be interested to even hear from some of the people who are running events frequently right now in Banter. There's probably a bunch of issues with that existing system and how we've implemented it, and maybe better ways that we could implement that. But honestly, there's a whole other thing that I wanted to talk about as well, which is something brand new that isn't available on Banter, isn't available on VR Chat, and wasn't available in AltSpace, which I think could be a really good solution to a lot of these problems and possibly make it so that we don't need instances at all. Yeah, so this is kind of a tricky concept to explain, but there's a way that we might be able to increase the capacity of events considerably without having to put people in different worlds, different spaces, different instances, basically. It's something called interest groups. That's the technical term for it. And basically what it means is that we can basically create like a dynamic instance for you and your friends when you're in the world. And we can control who you see in that instance kind of dynamically as you move through the world, right? The idea is that maybe it's the 30 people that are closest to you, and as you move around, people drop off, new people connect in. It just happens seamlessly under the hood. Maybe it's your friends that drives it, and maybe it's dynamic things that change based on the capacity of the room. So as things get larger and scale higher, maybe different rules, different things start to come into effect to help with that. But the idea is generally that if you can imagine you are in the room and then there's like a radar around you, and people within that closest radar, you're receiving updates from them much faster and much higher quality than everybody else. Then you move on to a second band in that radar, and you're receiving updates from that second band slightly slower. Now, you won't see those people, jumping around in the space as if they're lagging or anything, because we will smooth out the difference. So you won't really notice it. You'll actually still think they're being updated just as quickly. But as you go further away, you'll start to receive updates from people further. Like to put it into perspective, let's say you get 30 updates per second per person within the closest ring. Maybe that drops to 15 in the next ring, and it drops down to 1 in the furthest ring. Now you'll still see it all smooth because we'll use something called interpolation to be able to smooth everything out in your client, so you won't really notice the difference. But what this will do is it will greatly reduce the overhead on the server, for one, which means that we can have a higher capacity, but it will also greatly reduce the overhead on each individual client as well, which once again means that we can have a higher capacity. Now, we're still working and testing these systems under the hood to find out, how best this is going to work. But ultimately, we might expose a certain number of parameters either to you as a user or to the event host to control these systems, to decide what is and isn't visible to you, and even to have like maybe individual overrides, right? We've talked about the avatars and how you'll be able to control whose avatar you can see and whatever else. Well, maybe if your friend is in a different instance, a dynamic instance, maybe you'll be able to like pull them into your instance or invite them into your instance, and they'll be able to accept that, and then you'll both be able to see each other, but it won't affect the other people that they can see as well, right?
Get
Now,
over here.
exactly. So this is honestly, this is a system which I've seen implemented in a few different places. There's a platform called Ready Player One that have been talking about a similar system to this for a number of years. Basis also implements this in a great way. That's how they're able to achieve such high scale testing when they do their own testing. And yeah, we're kind of we're leaning on a similar concept to maybe make it so that we could have sort of open world scale, right? Where groups of people can cluster together and can spread out, and they will be we'll basically create a bubble around those groups in terms of how they can all see and interact with each other, and that could potentially make it much make it much easier to be able to do those much larger scale events. So you can jump in and be there with your friends, and maybe there's another group of friends that you've got and they're over there, and you can see them over there. They're updating smoother, and then maybe you can just walk over there and now you can talk and interact with them, and that's as easy as it is to move between instances, right? So that's my answer to your capacity question there, Major. That's just some ideas that I've got, and honestly, there's a lot of testing and a lot of nuances to how this works. Technology can be built, and we can implement it, and we can do all that kind of stuff, but how it ends up being used and how people end up coming together, that's a whole other ball game. And really, we need to kind of get this sort of tech out there into the community and see how it's going to work, and see what are the problems, what are the issues, right? Like, for instance, what if 100 people are all standing in exactly the same point, right? How do we handle that? And how do we make a decision as to who you can see and who you don't see? And how do we make sure that it doesn't alienate you or your friends, and make sure that everybody is connected, right? Because that's the motto. Let's be there together, right? That's what we want to do. uh, yeah. So that's what I've been thinking about. But honestly, I think all these systems are kind of complementary. Hey, Christian. Um,
Yo, yo.
I think all of these systems will work together, right? And that you can maybe decide whether you want to have these larger open world systems, or you want to have a smaller closed group, or maybe you want to have a fixed capacity no matter what. Maybe, you're creating a single user experience, which is honestly something that we can also accommodate. For us, it's just about how can we rise to the challenge and try and find technological solutions to fit these use cases, and give you the control either as a user or as an event host, whichever makes more sense, and let you decide which you want to use. And if there's trade-offs and so forth, then at least you can say, well, this is how I want my event to run, so this is how it'll run, right? And then, yeah, I don't know. I've been waffling there on about that for quite a while. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
My question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of people in here and myself we're waiting for it to come out on VR, on PC and stuff like that as well. But we've been waiting for this since March 10th, 2023. So whenever it closed down, we were like, no. But like, is it going to come out for like Android and iPhone as well? And how soon do you think that might happen? Will it come out all together or no? You're
Good
looking
question.
at me like, oh, that's a hard question.
No, it's not a hard question. It's actually a pretty easy question. Android, yes. iPhone, later, is what I would say. So, yeah, I'm an
right.
iPhone user, and I hate iPhone.
Yeah,
I hate Apple.
yeah, yeah.
But I use a range of Apple products. I have,
Both.
a lot of things
Both.
made by Apple. But Apple it's just a completely different ecosystem which we need to build for. But we can, with the technology stack we're using, we can. There's just a lot of really core components to what we're building that need to be rebuilt from scratch to work with Apple. Android is something that we've already got because Quest is Android, so 2D Android is definitely something that we're going to have. We have experimented and made a lot of mistakes, and learned from some mistakes around how we can implement the proper interface to allow Android to be able to exist and work as best they can, and to support peripherals like gamepads and stuff like that to make it possible for people to be able to do different things. So Android's already there. In fact, I could have released an Android version along with the betas that we've had. we've got that. That's definitely going to be there. That'll be there at launch. We'll just need to get that up onto the Play Store so you can get that easily onto your phone. But 100% Android will be there at launch. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. There's some other thoughts and questions. Let's see, Karen, maybe you can address specifically what will be the difference between Banter and Altspace. Different audiences. Altspace watered down version of Banter. Banter leans more towards devs and Altspace more towards non-tech people. I mean, yeah, a lot of the things that you're saying there could be applied in some senses. I think it's really about how the platform is presented to people, especially new users. Banter is going to be kind of a crazy free-for-all, whereas Altspace will be a little bit more above board and safe, let's be honest. In terms of how they'll be different, it'll be everything from the positioning, the messaging, the onboarding. All of those things are very important, which is going to it's going to include how we present ourselves across the stores, how we design and implement our web front ends, our social platforms, our social accounts. Sorry. How people experience the platform when they first come in. You know, what do guest avatars look like? Are guests even a thing? What does the welcome space look like? What does the default home space look like? All of these things are going to be different for each platform eventually. Policy potentially, right? What's allowed on certain platforms versus others? That's going to be part of it too. They will have a lot in common. We'll have a similar approach to how we engage with the community and how we try and get the community involved in decision making. They'll be similar in terms of how you create for the platform. We'll make it easy to create on both in the same way, so you don't have to learn a whole new thing, right? So whether you're creating worlds or creating avatars, it'll be a similar system, which I think is going to be great for interoperability. If you get to the point where you've established yourself and have a custom avatar, that custom avatar should work across everywhere. So you've got that identity that travels with you across all of the platforms. I think that's a great thing for us to do. So yeah, I don't know if you've got any other follow-up questions off the back of that, but feel free to hit me up. ISS Radio is asking about how new creators will get discovered. I touched on this a little bit before, but user creation will be the key there, I think, as well as a little bit of platform curation, right? But there'll be like new lists for new worlds and new events. I think that's a great way for users to just find new stuff, right? It makes sense when you think about it. But we will also highlight certain things I mentioned before, like staff picks. Maybe we can have community picks as well, so the community can rally behind certain things and try and elevate that to the top. So I think that's it, right? That's our responsibility as a platform. That's what we can do to try and make sure that there are pathways to get your stuff out there and get it featured, right? Maybe we have some random world of the week or something, and give people sort of some front page access to try and pick. Cool. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways we can do this, and thankfully there's a lot of standardization to this as well, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Can I just say, I love that someone in the comments here in the Discord, Joker, says Cards Against Humanity. Like, yeah, of course we're gonna have that game. Like, cool.
Yeah, of course.
They're asking a question.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's already there. I think it's already built. We won't call it Cards Against Humanity, right? That's the one thing that you can't do. But the game system is effectively open source in a sense. It's licensable. It's a share alike license, I think, where anybody can make a similar game as long as they use a slightly different name.
Call it Quads Against Avatars.
There you go. Or Avatars Against, or Humanity Against something. I don't know.
Avatars Against Humanity that's not what we want.
Robots against humanoids.
It was called Holograms Against Humanity.
Yeah. That's right. Yes. Let's see. Faye is asking about newer people's experiences and how the onboarding is going to work. Yeah, I mean, if that's specific to what I was talking about with the interest groups and how that dynamic instancing system is going to work, it's really going to probably boil down to what's the deciding factor there around how those groups work, where the user is going to be spawned. Maybe there is a default space, and people, who are within a proximity to that will be the default people that they interact with. I mean, aside from that, like I said before, uh, there'll be a certain onboarding experience that we've got in place. And we'll also have the ability to dynamically change that onboarding experience to be able to do that without necessarily having to release a new version of the platform, across all devices. We'll be able to just change that on the fly, right? Which uh, is something that we won't necessarily do frequently, but it will give us the ability to potentially experiment, right? Even if it's potentially temporary experimentation. Maybe there's a certain featured event that's like super popular. We can divert new traffic into that event directly, which is honestly another possible tool that we have as a platform to be able to highlight certain creators and event runners stuff and send new people there, right? That's obviously something we need to be very careful about when it comes to onboarding and make sure that that's going to be a good, safe experience. Yeah, maybe there's always a welcome space that people go to the first time or the first week, right? And I'm referring to how AltSpace experimented with this in the past. But maybe after that, right, if people are using a default landing space or home space, then maybe we can send them in, or maybe not. Right? Honestly, we'll have to try these things and see how the community responds, and then use these powers responsibly and make sure we don't create any negative effects, and make sure it's a net positive what we're doing. But ultimately, the technology will allow us to do this. So we'll have the ability to experiment in that regard. Um, yeah. So I'm hoping that addresses what you said, Faye. I'm a bit further up the comments, so if it doesn't, please let me know and I'll come back to it. Yeah, Aussie guy, that is the sort of thing that we're thinking about internally, right? If one person can see one and another person can't, honestly, that's kind of always been an issue in social VR spaces, because sometimes people block people, and then often one person can see and the other person can't, and that's honestly a challenge. Maybe there's a way we can visualize people that you can't see. Maybe we can show a orb or a ghost or something. We need to figure that out and find out what fits best. And I see you came to the same conclusion as me around whether they're blocked or not, as that would be a problem. But yeah, I mean, it's a journey we all have to kind of go on together here and try and find what fits best. And I would say whatever way we end up uh, landing on, there's always going to be a trade-off, right? There's always going to be certain problems that we need to figure out how to address, and how do we make people aware, so you don't have one person stuck in the middle with two people trying to talk to them at the same time, and neither of those people can see each other for some reason, right? So I also think it would be great in a large scale space, or even potentially with people that you've blocked, to just be aware that they're there, even if it's just a silhouette of that person. And you can't really see who they are or what they are, or hear them or have them see or hear you. Maybe it would be good to just be aware that they're there and to know spatially where they are in general, right? And maybe there's a way we can try and give people as much context and information about what's going on around them as possible, so that you can kind of get a sense if somebody's talking to somebody else. Um, so that you can try and behave, work around that, so to speak. Let's see. Mystery Steve is responding to, oh, can we build a Blockbuster store and have customers rent streaming videos? Ha 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 ha. Sure. You'd be like, there's only one Blockbuster store left, right? So you'd be competing with them, I guess. Mystery Steve wants to know if we could actually buy DVDs within that store and they get stored in an inventory in your account. Well, that's getting pretty crazy. Sounds like the sort of thing we might not have the capacity for here at a platform level, but for sure, the community could experiment with that, right? You could do whatever you want on the internet. We could create a whole new version of Netflix. I don't know. Do people buy DVDs anymore? Is that even still a thing? Maybe everybody has their collections and that's kind of it. And then you've got uh, a big bumper bucket of DVDs in certain stores that you can go and pick up. Oh, I see Whack-A-Mole is in general chat. Is he in the stage? He is. You got your account back. I'm glad. Yeah. I had to time you out in here for a week because there was some messages coming from you. I'm glad you got all of that sorted. It's always an absolute nightmare whenever stuff like that happens. I hope the fallout wasn't too bad and that people were forgiving. Yeah, let me see. What do we got? An option for how blocked users are shown or not to you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, when in doubt, put the control into the hands of the users. Let's let the users decide. Do you want to see silhouettes of people you've blocked, or do you want to double block them in a way, right? Yeah, I think
That's actually a
ultimately,
really good.
yeah,
'Cause I can see, just even with you being a silhouette, I can see instances where someone knows, oh, here's the person that blocked me, so maybe they're just dancing around them and being obnoxious or something, even as
yes,
a
that's true.
silhouette.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
So
I
yeah, if
think
I'm able to just be
potentially,
like, okay, bye bye, then. But
yes.
I really do like the idea of, okay, I've blocked some people. It is nice to be able to still have that information. You're right, like that, knowing at least, okay, I know they're here, or I can whatever, you can make decisions based
There's
on
an
that kind
argument
of
for
stuff.
both, really. And
Avoid drama, hopefully.
yeah, exactly, right. You can maybe decide, and this could be an option in the menu, right? We have the information. We can certainly use that to surface that. Go ahead, Divine.
Sometimes you get people saying like if they're in the room and you know that they're there, they'll be like, I know that they blocked me, but will you please tell them this or something like that?
Yeah,
And then you got someone being the in between person, and it
Yes,
I don't know. I don't know. Kind of iffy about that. It could go either way, like you said.
you just tell them, just unblock them. Just, what are you doing?
yes. It's
Tell it
difficult,
yourself.
right? It's kind of it's a social construct that we don't really have in real life because you don't have the luxury of being able to block somebody in real life except for to just not look at them, right? But in VR, it's different because it's a mashup of like real life behavior plus like online web behavior, and sometimes it can get obscene, and you need to have the ability to remove somebody from your experience, as they used to say in Altspace, or remove them from your existence. But yeah, I mean, there's always challenges with that, like because it's not really natural to be able to just erase somebody like that. Certainly not yet. Maybe some Black
Easy,
Mirror
easy
feature
killer.
The first
could allow you to do that.
successful,
But
the first great usage of AR glasses is just to be able to
yeah,
filter out the
It
people we don't
perfectly,
want to see.
perfect
Yeah.
rotoscoping out
Or
people.
use AI to change them
yes,
into something. Oh, okay, stop.
yes, exactly.
Nice.
Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Yes, blocking does introduce a lot of drama and discomfort, that's for sure. And it's inevitable. There's not really a lot we can do about it. But I don't know. If you can have different layers and different levels of that, um, I think as a platform, we can also make it easier for you to decide, you know, that level of personal moderation, especially at events and stuff like that. Maybe you can have more control to decide if blocks are temporary, right? Maybe you only block somebody for 24 hours, or you block them until you go to a different world, or something like that, right? I think
Well,
that
see,
helps.
the thing when you are a moderator too, you can't block anyone because you have to watch them to make sure they're not harassing other people. Because I've been in
Yes.
there and I'm like, I can't block this person because I have to watch them. But it's yeah. So
It's
that's another
true.
thing when you're a moderator, you
I mean,
can't do that.
in Banter, for example, I was certainly running some events and having kids running around and stuff. Is I would just move them into a different instance, so they were essentially isolated, but they weren't bothering the other. But they could still interact with some of the objects in the scene. So you just suddenly see a whiteboard marker just floating through the air because that ghost user was, yeah, clicking it.
That
The
becomes another
instances
potential
shared the
vector
assets.
of abuse too.
That's weird. The instances could interact with the same assets?
I mean,
I
yes,
believe so.
if those
Yeah, yeah.
assets have some underlying synchronization on them, that synchronization may not be necessarily scoped to the instance.
Interesting.
If you think about like websites and how you can have, a website that can have a lot of people on it and they're sharing and interacting in real time, that's a completely different layer of synchronization compared to like the instance synchronization, for instance.
Fair.
Yeah.
But
Let's see. Black Sands, I see you wanted to come up and I might have missed that. I've sent you an invite in case you didn't just change your mind. Dr. Phil is asking, can we bring back the OG AltSpace spaces? We as a platform can't condone or encourage any kind of content extraction, especially if that content or IP is owned by a massive corporation such as Microsoft. We can't do that. I touched on this before. So, yeah, that's kind of where I have to leave that conversation because in our position, we have to maintain a certain position there. And let's just say I'll leave it there. And yeah, let's see. Moving on. Yeah, I mean, I think like, on the blocking question on that topic, like I think having temporary blocks, that could get around some situations where maybe you just block somebody temporarily because they're maybe either they're being a bit noisy or they've got background noise on their mic that they don't even know about, right? And you've only done it temporarily, and maybe you want to you want that to be temporary, right? I think that could be good to get around those situations where you forget that you've got somebody blocked, and then you end up with that weird situation where it's like somebody that you don't necessarily have a problem with, and yeah, that way you can make it transient, and you can
so
make
like
it so that it will
maybe
automatically unblock them
block
after a
them
certain
while
period of
they're
time.
block them while they're in that room or block them after like 10 minutes or something like that, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, block them until you leave, or a 24-hour block, or something along those lines, right? Yeah, there is no catch-all solution. You're right, Steve. There is no. It's a really difficult problem to solve. But if we can empower people by giving them the maximum number of options, I think that's going to be the right approach to this in general. Let's see. Silly question from Peppermint. Uh, Acquiring the rights to the AltSpace campfire is a possibility. We can try, but it's unlikely. Microsoft, they're generally not going to, just hand over the rights to that in general. But we can do like we have been doing, and we can try and create something that is an homage to that is inspired by that, the spiritual successor of that. We can definitely do that. So that's definitely an option. We've already done that with our existing landing space, the newest campfire. It's basically uh, an homage to the original campfire, though it's entirely new and created to be new and has whole new features in it that weren't there before. And it kind of looks like a taco, which wasn't intentional, but has got a lot of charm to it already, which is great. Um, yeah. Let's see. Tony Stark is saying a moderator could get a notification letting them know somebody they have blocked is entered the space. That's interesting. Discord does it like that. If somebody joins this stage that I've blocked, for instance, Discord will notify me and ask me, would you like to stay or would you like to leave? Maybe in some cases where it's, it's important that you see people. That's how it could behave. It is interesting when it comes to moderators because it works in both directions, right? You can't block a moderator because when you're in their space, they're the owner of the space, right? So when you're in there, you can't necessarily block them in that space, or because a block is bi-directional, right? That means that they couldn't see you either. So blocking or even potentially muting might be something that we have to navigate when it comes to how moderators do that. Let's see, Black Sands, I've invited you again. Welcome to the chat. Ghost Droid blocked Aline. I'm going to tell her you did that.
I guess you call me out.
Go ahead, Black Sands. You got something for us?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. I didn't see the thing before, but I wanted to kind of chime in on the blocking thing, and then I had a question about the events or whatnot. But I think what you all are kind of coming up with, it sounds really good, and it's like a marriage between what I've experienced on multiple different platforms. For one, the old AltSpace, I really appreciated how when you blocked someone, they were actually invisible. And so unless someone told you they were in there, you could go about your world and not have to worry about them being in there. But I think the other person wasn't invisible to the person that had been blocked. So if that can happen mutually, then the other person doesn't know that they're in there. In Horizon Worlds, I said HW, my apologies, but when you're entering a world, it does tell you that someone in there that you blocked is in there, and do you want to continue traveling? So you're making a conscious decision to enter that world knowing that someone in there has been blocked, and then they're like a little robot, little white robot or whatever. You don't know who it is, so you have to kind of, do some sleuthing if you wanted to know who that was. But you make that decision. So if you guys can do something like that, that'll be amazing. There's no cure, like you said, to the awkwardness of I'm talking to someone and then Bob's like, who are you talking to? You crazy? I'm like, no, I'm talking to Bob, Jill. And you blocked him. It is what it is. We just all have to be adults and be mature about those types of things. But I like the ideas that are coming around it. You mentioned muting, and I wanted to make sure that that's something, because I know that's something I love about VR chat, is I can mute and adjust the volume of one person without having it be the entire world. Is that something you guys are going to do?
Yes, that's something that we've already got, in fact, available, is the ability to adjust everybody's voice volume independently. Nice. So you'll definitely have that option. Honestly, muting, that's probably a good topic when it comes to events. Because, okay, so I've mixed feelings about this, and I'm sure everybody else is going to have too. Should the event host be able to mute the crowd?
Yeah.
Seems like it's a useful tool to have if you're trying to present to a bunch of people. But it's also, it kind of conflicts with the social nature of what we're trying to build, right? In some ways.
Zones.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we had
it's
zones,
tricky.
Like we had in AltspaceVR, we could set up an audience zone, and if you go into that zone, you would be muted because you were part of that audience. But if you left that zone, you could go talk over there.
Yeah.
That gives you.
Or
the
if they
agency.
raise your hand, if you were marked as having your hand raised, in the same way as at the moment we're marked as speakers.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're unmuted.
Mute zones. That's interesting. I've never actually heard of that being implemented.
Great. It was great. I loved it.
I was gonna
Yes.
suggest a question as part of the current discussion. The ability to have zones, and then you could declare the entire space to be a zone if you really wanted to, but then be able to mute people or block people from entering as well, so people couldn't like flood the stage. I think we have something like that in VR chat.
Stage blockers.
Yeah. Or spawn zones as well. So if you want to make sure that if you have admin, maybe you have free reign. But if you don't have moderation, then you're just in this particular area. And once again, keyed into that raise hand or the ability for the moderators to be able to pick people and say, right, we're going to elevate you.
You can
You
join.
can now join. Yeah.
Yes.
And live as well. Yeah.
Muting
So,
everyone whenever you're having an event. Sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead, Divine. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I get whenever, like, say you want to say something at your event and you mute everyone, like, so you can talk. Like, I get that. I get being that would be a good thing to have. But, it does, take away from that talking. I've been muted not wanting to be muted before, and it wasn't fun because I couldn't talk or couldn't even, like, I couldn't even press anything on my screen. Like whenever that happens, or whenever it happens back in AltSpace one time, someone did it. I couldn't press nothing on my screen. I couldn't even go into the hangar to do anything. So it was like they disabled me all the way, everyone. So it was really crazy. But I don't know if that was just muting or if they did something else. But
That sounds like a
yeah,
bug.
no, no, this person was known for causing trouble. But we
I
won't
think
go there. Anyways.
I think in AltSpace they had a system where if the hosts muted, it muted everybody, but it also switched on their mute. So then afterwards, once they disabled it, you still had to unmute yourself in order to
Yeah.
continue discussion. I don't know whether I particularly like that system, but yeah.
That
Yeah.
that
Sorry,
is a
I was
good system though.
distracted there.
Oh,
I was just going to say, I'm not sure if this has been mentioned because I was just distracted checking my flights. I've got to disappear off soon. But Steve has mentioned there about the earmuff function in VR chat, which I think is kind of interesting, and combining that with a presenter, right? I mean, I think it depends on who's being disrupted and who wants to disrupt other people, and it's also kind of in that same realm as being able to block people. Like muting people isn't something you can do in real life. You can't mute a whole room. You can ask them, and it's it's an honor system, right? That's how the world works. But having the ability to pull your sphere of influence in terms of who you can hear nearby and being able to only hear those who are close to you, somewhat inverse of this in that it's the attendees at the event who are getting to control how that works. But I think that that's a smart feature to have as a complementary element to this as well. All right, go ahead. You were going to say something, Cos.
I forgot at this point.
Cool.
Black Sands was also going to say something, but
Yes.
she stopped because I was saying something. So, yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Black Sands.
Yeah, listen, I'm old. I probably don't forgot now. But about the muting situation, I appreciate everything you're saying about in real life you can't mute someone. But I think when you're in this type of space, having that control so that you can enjoy your experience just like other people enjoying their experience, I think that's really important. That's the one thing that I absolutely love about VR chat is I can adjust someone's volume because some people come in, they have microphones, they have all these things set up and they don't realize that they're so much louder than everyone else, or they have background noise that they can't, take care of, and if they're having a conversation with someone nearby you, it doesn't have anything to do with you, but they're having an open conversation with someone and they've got all this background noise that's, messing with your experience. And I think it's unfair. Then I have to decide to either leave or bear it and leave this experience or bear the uncomfortableness of having someone else, kind of, interrupt that flow. So I hope that you really, really, really think about that and
Yeah. No, definitely. That's going to be something I think we'll have at launch, right? To be able to selectively control the volume of every person so that you can adjust, and also to control your own local volume, right? So that when people tell you, you can adjust yourself too, right? So on both sides, and to be able to mute people, of course, as well, right? These are basic standard things that I think we've all come to appreciate how essential they are. And
on that point,
yeah,
I do
that
remember what I
won't be
was going to
lost on
say.
us.
The muting
Yeah.
thing, Black Sands, you reminded me. So I earlier when we were talking about, so I do think having a zone for permamute for attending a show and stuff is definitely one way to go. Have that as well, but also I think the admin of the space should be able to mute everybody, but not keep them muted, but just shut them up for a second to give an announcement, and then yeah, you just unmute yourself or whatever. You get a little notice, hey, you've been muted by the admin for an announcement or whatever. Let them know.
Yeah.
But don't keep them muted. Just let them undo it. But I think that does need to be a feature because admins do need to shut everybody up for a minute, give an announcement, go. It allows them at least to undo it and let them know that they've been muted just for an announcement. Or
Yeah,
hell,
I think
give
so.
the admin the ability to unmute everybody after they're done. Mute. Hey everybody, your pilot's speaking. All right, there you go. Now you're all talking again.
Love it.
Yeah, there's kind of layers to it, right? There's the admin mute, and then there's your own personal mute, and then there's your, your layer of having muted somebody else. And all of these should probably compound to decide, is somebody muted or not for you effectively. That's how we have approached it in the past. I think that's the sensible way for it to work, and that way it can revert to the previous state after the admin or moderator is done. There's also megaphone, right? I think that was done really well in the days of AltSpace, right? As somebody can just.
That's all. Yeah, sorry. I was agreeing with you, but that was also done in a zone. You could do host zone. Yeah.
Yeah, potentially, right? Or at least have just different fall off options for the megaphone person, so that they're just louder in a certain range, let's say. And I mean that's how a loudspeaker or PA or a microphone setup would work as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mr. Prime says you could. I mean, instead of muting everyone, the admin, to give an announcement, could maybe like lower everyone's volume, and then theirs is amplified, and everyone else gets very low. So that could work.
Interesting. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. You could have an automatic adjustment so that if the megaphone person is talking, it lowers everybody's other voice automatically, and then restores that volume automatically when they're finished. That would be nice. Less work.
These guys got a point.
Less.
Sorry, I've seen people talking about forgetting to be on megaphone and just chatting, and that is a problem too. When you just got two admin or blah 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 blah, and everybody's like, "Shut up, we're trying to chat." If you're on megaphone, you should be very alerted that you're on megaphone. Not just the icon is on, but it should be like you are on megaphone. You know what I mean? Something's somewhere.
A physical megaphone in front of your mouth, kind of thing.
But I think that would help a lot of people to remember. Oh, I should probably turn that off
before I start having
this private conversation.
We just multiply their visemes by 100 so that their mouth is going huge as they talk.
Just everyone's hair just gets blown back as you speak into the crowd. Their heads just get pushed back.
Yes.
You hear that, Christian? You got to bake in hair physics to all the avatars, please.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think these are all great ideas. I love that we're able to kind of hash these out together as a community. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch off my camera temporarily while I start to get ready for my flight. I'm going to stay on this call as long as I can, but at some point I am going to have to drop off. At which point I'm going to just let you guys keep freeballing it if you want to do that. I know Christian is. I don't know, Christian. Are you already looking at coloring and stuff?
Yeah, I've just been having coffee and things like that. Not wanting to interrupt the thing, but yeah, if the conversation was continuing on, I was just going to kind of casually stream while I do the workflow, either in here or in a or just in a general chat. If I'm just hanging out, if people are hanging out.
Go for it.
whatever. I'll just
honestly, I took
have
some
it.
of the stuff you sent me the other day, and I already shared it way further up the chat.
Oh, cool.
This chat serves as a really nice, a nice log of all of our discussion around all of these topics. Honestly, I'm going to at some point scrape all of the comments and everything that's been put in here and try and catalog everything so that I can ensure that we catch all the really good ideas and don't miss anything.
Help me, Claude.
But yeah, feel free to start your stream if you want and let people jump in. Sorry, Cause, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was goofing. I said, "Help me, Claude."
Oh boy.
For the scraping of all of the chat.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. If possible,
I was going
right?
to say, if you leave, with this being a weird sort of restricted stage, we maybe need to move over to the collab dev or something channel where people can like have a conversation.
Yeah, that's it.
So I did test this, believe it or not, whenever I left and rejoined before at the start when no one could hear me. And somebody, like, I wasn't able to rejoin the stage when I rejoined. So somebody else ended up with the power to invite me. We can test that now. You want to see if you can do it, Cause? See if you can pick somebody from the audience, invite them up, and let's see if they can come up. If it works, as whoever's on stage is effectively a host. But I can obviously quietly leave without ending the staged event. And yeah, Carlos, I don't know if you want to keep the stream going. Feel free if you want to cut it short, whatever you prefer. I'm cool with, obviously. It's up to you. So yeah, you can do whatever you need to do there. But yeah, ignore me. I'm just packing, doing some last minute packing here behind the scenes. So my audio might even end up a little strange.
Are you able as a moderator to assign other moderators?
Yes.
Well, you can just do that.
I don't know if you can hear me, but yes.
Yeah. Because it wasn't
the way it'll
me.
work is groups.
I don't know, unless it was Shoseki, because it was just us two up here when you came. So if it wasn't either of us, someone random got the power.
Yeah.
Somebody. Yeah.
Shane, you're showing as stage moderator at the moment, so.
Okay, let me see if I can change it. I can right-click somebody and make them into the stage moderator. Let's see, the audience. Didn't seem to give me any options. Maybe it was only whenever I left. I tell you what, I'll just try disconnecting quietly and I'll rejoin. Let's see who can invite me back up.
Sure.
Oh boy, this is gonna
Nobody
be
has
fun.
that icon.
Teacher's out of the room, guys.
Oh, no.
Oh wait, he's back. Shush.
Right.
I do not have any kind of invite power at all. Maybe
Nope.
raise your hand, Shane.
Raise your hand.
No.
So for me, I see open stage as an option.
Well, Shane,
if you
still have
right-click on
the
Shane,
icon.
do you see?
Yeah.
I see the hand icon, but
I see the hand icon. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't think we do not have the power.
Interesting.
How did you get up here?
How did you get back up?
I was always able to force myself on. I didn't though. I just wanted to see if somebody else could do it. Somebody definitely did it for me the last time because it popped up and said you've been invited to speak. Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
I didn't force myself on the last time. I only just realized actually I could do that this time. I'll just invite everybody on stage before I go. How about that?
So all the new people can
just
show up.
Oh my goodness, 47 people.
That's right. Or like you
Come
say,
on,
Cos,
gang.
if it comes to it, just swap to the other channel. Do a little after party.
I was going to say, is there a one button solution you could just press and we all go into the collab stream voice channel?
I think I can move people. Yes. Not everyone, but individually, I can click everybody 47 times.
FYI, Carlos will stop streaming at the top of the hour, so we got 20 minutes of
Cool.
streaming playtime.
Oh,
Nice.
Christian, might be a good time to show off.
Yeah. Getting my tablet set up and stuff right now. Are we just sticking around in this channel then?
I guess so.
Mm-hmm. Let's get this set up.
Show off what I've been working on this weekend, if you want.
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
Gonna stream a bunch of code again?
No, just the actual. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna move Discord here. It's not that exciting, but
is it what you were showing us earlier?
yeah.
Oh yeah, people are gonna. This is awesome,
Yeah.
dude. People are gonna like
This
this.
is awesome.
So
He's like, it's not that exciting.
Yeah.
So obviously, AltspaceVR, you can build your own environment using Unity, which I do have here. This is my little sample scene. There's not much in it, but it also has a JavaScript.
Build again.
It also has a JavaScript SDK, and the JavaScript SDK has lots of different aspects, but two of them are the 2D UI stuff and the 3D aspect. So you can spawn objects. And I've been experimenting with this piece of software called Storybook that allows you to build components essentially. And so you have 2D components, and I've been experimenting with this. So, for example, if I wanted to have a scoreboard or have some sort of intro to a game, this is using Altspace's 2D UI, which is built on Unity's 2D UI. And then, yeah, we've got a little ignore the fact that there's like a second copy back there. It's just a little bug. But yeah, so it's just like a little. It's not a Tetris,
not
because
Tetris.
that's yeah, because it's heavily copyrighted. So yeah, it's definitely not Tetris. But yeah, anyway.
Altris.
Yeah, block dropper it's just called at the moment.
Block dropper.
Yeah. I am the block dropper. Yes. So yeah. So the idea is that this is just JavaScript and it's very performant because it's literally just Unity's UI.
My son in the background, he's like, it kind of looks like Tetris, mommy, and I'm like,
It looks like it, but it's not.
It looks like it. It's legally distinct from it.
It's yeah. So anyway, yes. So
but
all these elements.
The 2D elements, the UI as well. I mean, just being able to put together some really beautiful UI is going to be wonderful.
And I mean, essentially internally, this is, I think it's like XML and a bunch of style stuff, very similar to web development, but yeah. And then the 3D stuff. Oh, so on the left-hand side here, the Storybook. So this is open source. The project that I'm building, this is all going to be open source as well. I've already posted the link in the Collab Dev chat channel. But essentially, yeah, the point of this is to like be able to test and explore different UI elements live within the system during development. So these are all the different types of objects, UI elements that you can actually build in AltSpace.
Would you be able to put together like a small guide to get people to be able to at least just, put that like a settings or whatever, just how do I get that into the AltSpace space,
into your space? And so you need to write some JavaScript. So it's not the simplest thing. But this sort of tool is useful for like organizing it. That's the point. So this is all sample. Sorry.
You can't just make us a package we can just put in our world and it'll be there.
Well, in the case of these sorts of pre-built things like this Tetris thing, that should be just an injectable JavaScript file that you can just add to your scene. So if I go back to my editor, for example, I
Make
think
me
this
an
was
MRE,
this one.
you know?
Yeah, this is what it looks like. So you've got your index.html, which is part of your editor, and then
Oh, okay.
you're just
scripting stuff.
adding. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just adding like these script tags, and obviously it has to be hosted something. I'm doing local development, so that's why it says localhost. But
GitHub
yeah, and
Pages is a great place to host small files
Oh,
like that for
he's
free.
back. Shh.
but yeah, so then you can also
Been
do
there.
3D stuff as well. So this is all live as well. So
Nice.
and this is, by the way, this is all over a WebSocket. So because Altspace has a wrapper around essentially the equivalent of Chrome, you can. So this is all JavaScript. That means that live over the WebSocket is just updating what's in the scene. So you could have full 3D games in here, driven completely dynamically.
Nice.
I want to ask if I'm allowed to show something else off, but give me 2 seconds.
What do you want to show off?
I just sent you a message.
Oh.
Oh boy. Oh yeah, go ahead. I know what it is actually. I didn't look at the message, but you're talking about Shane's editor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Go for it. I've been waffling on about it. Go right ahead.
All right. So is it Shift O? There you go. Oh.
It's just O.
Oh yeah. So obviously, yeah, Shane's editor.
Caveat that it's it may be broken. That's the reason I haven't made it knowledge yet. But go
Don't
ahead.
tell anybody what button to hit.
Sure. Oh yeah. So anyway, you're selecting objects. You should have selected it. Have I done the wrong thing?
Yeah.
It's selected.
I don't know. There you go. No.
I was expecting the controls to appear.
Cool demo, bro.
Didn't happen. What? Wait.
This is what you get for trying to show something off.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just glad it's not me.
Yeah, it'd be extremely embarrassing for the guy who's trying to show it off right now. I wouldn't want to be that guy.
Yes.
That's
what always happens.
You know
That's
what
literally what happened to me the first time I tried to show it as well. Like last
I'm
week.
going to reload the space.
Nice. That's always a brute force.
Yeah. Just try turning it off and turning it back on again.
Yeah.
There you go. So maybe
it looks like you're experiencing one of those classic Shane's Editor's gotchas.
There you go. So if I click import from scene, there you go. So yeah, so then you got your controllers, and then if I actually click on the cube, would help.
Fun fact: I'd never hit the import from scene button before you did it today, so
there you go.
I had no idea that's what it was going to do.
So all the objects which are in the scene are then. So here's my little block drop thing. Is all live. I can't remember what the other button was to make it rotate. Is it like R?
G.
Nope. G?
G. G for Gizmo.
There you go. Yeah, so there you go. So you can rotate it in the scene, and it's live. It's still.
That's pulling like straight from the Unity scene. So anything we build into our Unity scene, we could theoretically pull in and then manipulate with the editor.
That's honestly the hope, yes, so that you'll be able to see. So in the in Unity, you can basically assign SDK components to things, right? You can use a variety of things. There's a BS object ID component, which effectively makes that object visible to Altspace. And once it becomes visible like that, then you'll see it in here. You'll be able to edit it. And honestly, the really interesting and exciting thing about this is that I want to enable scripting through this interface. And I want it to work exactly like Unity's visual scripting. So I want that to be interoperable. So for anybody who's non-technical, feel free to glaze over right now. But the idea is,
what you're on about the visual scripting.
yeah, you have visual scripting in Unity. You're working on it there. You've got a base thing. Then you go in game. You can continue to tweak and edit that visual scripting within this interface. And then later you go back into Unity. You can synchronize those changes back in there and have all of it just be interoperable between each. So you've got like the ability to script and control the same in Unity as you would at runtime within the game as well. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for there. And that's why you'll be able to access, or one of the reasons why you'll be able to access and see objects that you've added via Unity, is so that you can find and edit those scripts.
Anyway,
that's gonna make things like world and event customizations based on templates like that much more enticing, because the template will have things set up, but then the event or the world could really customize, maybe move things around, like interact in scripts and stuff. That's interesting.
Well, so this was an idea that came out of the kit stuff, right?
Mhm.
Right now, we don't have the ability to share kits, or to clone them and do stuff and edit them and stuff. But it could be really cool to have a scripting layer that can do that. So people could remix an object, add functional scripting to it, make the gun shoot, turn it into a squirt gun instead of a normal gun. You have all of those options, and then share that. So being able to edit and update those at runtime means we could have that whole ecosystem happen all inside the platform, and you don't need to know or understand other tools to do it. So, but it's also interoperable with those tools. So it's kind of the best of both in that regard.
Mhm. That's wild. That's going to be
Yeah.
very fun and powerful.
Yes. Yes. And then that should be like Vanquisher's Let's Create events, could really feature a lot more in-game building and a lot
Yeah.
of sharing off the back of that. And yeah, we kind of kickstart an ecosystem
Oh, that's
of
really going to
people.
make like, yeah, that's going to make like almost like playform style education possible in
Yeah.
here. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and instantly shareable when it's done as well. It's a great way for us to be able to enable
Oh,
that kind of stuff without any real
an
gotchas.
idea. What about save states? As in, like, I go into a world, I move a bunch of stuff around. What if I leave and come back? Is it gonna remain? Can I save that and get it to come back later?
Yes.
You
So
know?
right now, since it's offline only, the editor has a save function, but it is only for you locally. Let's say it's in your session on your machine.
Even that would
Whenever
be
it's
okay. Just
well,
some way to.
whenever we go fully multiplayer, there'll be a couple of layers to that, right? You'll be able to save it into the scene,
Okay.
into the world, and that way then it's stored and everybody can see it. But also there's collaboration, so you'll have like real-time editing together that will let you elevate certain people to the ability of being able to do that, number one, and then collectively store that, save it persistently. So both of those things will apply.
That's cool.
Whoa,
Yeah.
so you're basically saying, so like I could take the milk carton out of the refrigerator and leave it on the counter and save that, and then the person can come back to the world and
Yes,
see
Yeah.
and
the
they can
milk
complain.
carton on the counter. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
And complain about who
Giovanni,
left it
why
there.
didn't you put the milk carton back in the refrigerator? Sorry.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Sorry, I'm really high right now. I should mute myself.
5 minutes left in the recorded stream, guys.
Perfect. Say hi to everyone at home.
by the way, if anybody else
Oh.
wants to like demo or stream or ask any questions, just shout. I'm just playing, so I just noticed some things aren't actually updating properly like they should do. See, the background color is there, but it's not reflected live. So clearly, still some work to be done. But yeah,
all I'm doing is playing around with that same scene everyone's seen.
It looks good. It doesn't actually let me stream at the same time. It does one.
Oh, sorry.
The other. But
Get
with,
off the stage.
with five on the thing, I think it's probably better that I'll just casually do it in the dev stream when we wrap up, because we're at like 5 minutes then.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we just do that now? Let's jump over.
All right.
Right on.
Okay, well, I'm on my phone, so I'm not going to try and move everybody. Let's just collectively on an honor system decide that we're all going to go. Or I can end. I can probably end the stage, but I won't do that. I'll leave you guys.
Just
I'll see
click
you all over
on
there.
Collab Dev.
Cheers, guys. Happy Altspace.
Yeah. Happy Altspace.
Be Altspace. Woohoo.
I guess you can end the stream there, Carlos. Thanks, man.